Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to Daily Downshift. Today we're finally doing the KW Hasket install on the BMW M2 G87. The front desperately needs to be dropped because it just looks so small in this wheel well. Now the back's honestly not too bad. These are obviously 20s and so it fills it up quite nicely, but there's still about 3-finger gap there. And then on the front, I believe it's almost about 4 fingers. So just way too much. These KWs are going to make this so much better. So we have a little bit of everything today. We got our sockets, wrenches, more wrenches, some special tools, pliers, extensions. We have our breaker bar, more sockets, torque wrenches. We got our jack stands as well as the regular jack. We got our skill lights. We got impact drills. We got all sorts of stuff today. So a little bit of everything. We should have the majority of the things to do this install, and I am super excited to get things underway here, guys. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention, guys. I actually got brand new from my BMW dealership top strut nuts for both the front and the rear. This is basically a brand new car, so I don't imagine that any of the screws or the threads or is going to be any damage to anything or any wear whatsoever, but we'll see. You never know. Again, this is a brand new car, so did I necessarily need those? Probably not, but it is what it is. Okay guys, so we're starting off the install with the fronts. Like I said, we already did the other side, so this side should be a lot faster. Set this off to the side. So a little lock mechanism right there. I hope you guys can see that. Just go ahead and twist it to the side. That's going to unlock it. Lift this up and over, take this off. That's going to reveal your EDC. There we go, all came off together. All right, now that you have all 3 of those push pins off, what you want to do is the EDC, you want to just very slowly kind of work it out. You have to get this over, and then the whole EDC kind of comes out just like that. We're done for the top for now. Let's go back into the wheel well and work there. First things first, we're going to take off this wire right here. You can kind of hear that. Just push the plastic in and push down, and this whole thing comes off. We're going to go ahead and take off basically all these wires. So they're just on these little hangers. Just go ahead and pull them all off. We want as much room as possible. Bunch of these off. Another one right here. There we go. So next up, we're gonna take off this grommet right here. Get 2 small flatheads. You're gonna wanna reach underneath the grommet and extend this grommet over these clips. So let me go ahead and do that now. All right, there's one side over. Just gotta get the other side now. Just like that. Grommets are released, so I can just pull this cable over now. And then we got one more cable that I just got to take off its holder, and as you can see, everything's now fully loose. Okay, so we got ourselves a T30 inside of a ratchet. We're just going to take this off. We're going to need to reuse it on the new spring perch from KW. So there we go. So it's just a little piece like that. Okay, so next up, we're gonna go ahead and take off the nut side of the anti-roll bar link. I think also a 15 or a 16 works. I can't remember exactly, but for some reason the 5/8 is just perfect for this. Just gonna get on it and break it like that. It's loose enough to do it by hand now. There it is. It should just swing out by itself. If it does not, which it's not right now, it's super tight. What that means is we have to jack this up so that this can easily just swing out. Maybe 1 or 2 more. There it is. And while we have this pressure on the lower control arm, guys, we're gonna go ahead and loosen the top. So what you're gonna need is an 18mm. This is an 18-point pass-through socket. It's a very specialized tool. And also, you're going to need a deep offset 10mm wrench as well. And loosen it. There we go. I think I got it. Yeah, there we go. All right, so just twist it around. Might be loose enough by hand. Yep, these are in good shape though. It's a new car, so honestly, you probably don't have to change it, but there's a little bit of, tiny bit of damage on it, as you can see. So just gonna lower the jack slowly. You're gonna hear the spring decompress. And it'll fall out as well probably, but we don't want it to fall out quite yet. There we go. All right, whole spring is now loose. As you can see, there's 0 pressure on this. So we got ourselves a ratchet with a 16mm on it, and we have ourselves a 5/8 wrench. Again, either or could work. We're just kind of blending whatever we have. You're gonna have to give it some beans. There we go. Yeah, that was on pretty tight. Okay, that's off. And let's go ahead and take this side off. Make sure you remember which way this goes on, guys. And one thing, make sure you do not forget to take off the driving, I think it's leveling sensor, because we just cracked the plastic on it. So that's the leveling sensor. We literally just cracked the plastic off of here. So we're gonna have to get a new plastic piece. Make sure you take off this nut right here holding this in before you actually pull out this strut assembly. Pull this out like this. So we're just gonna go ahead and take off the spring first, just to give us less things to worry about. So you're just gonna need something that has like a flat edge or that's rectangular, and you're gonna wanna put it in like this and then spread it. Now we're just gonna go ahead and get in here, twist it, and this should loosen up the strut for it to come out just like that. So there we go. So take this off. This is not necessary. This is like a dust boot. This is going to have to come off with a flathead screwdriver that I'm not seeing. There it is. And pop it off all around it. There we go. You want to go ahead and mark down right underneath this entire lip and the direction of this. That's going to show us exactly where to put the other one. And then I'm going to put a mark straight down in the middle. So as you can see, we're going to go ahead and flip this over once this settles, and we're going to mallet this. Just be very careful. This is made out of aluminum, and so it can bend. And then lastly, of course, this is pressurized gas inside here. So make sure you don't mallet that. Make sure you're just malleting this right here. It's almost off.
She's coming.
Ah, almost off. You definitely cannot do this by yourself, guys. No chance. 3, 2, 1. Nice. Easy. You gotta make sure that this lines up with the markings that you made. Eyeball it a little bit. So what we're gonna do, guys, because we need to hammer this, we're gonna get a little piece of wood because we do not want to damage this itself. You also want to be very careful of this nipple right here. What we'd like to do is we like to put a big socket around it. Drop that on the floor. And then we're gonna mallet this down while also watching to make sure that this stays nice and lined up. Ready? All right, so next up, just put the purple adjustable, height adjustable piece on. We're gonna go all the way down with it. Put the dust boot back on. That's gonna protect the top of the strut. Just gonna mallet it down everywhere. Then obviously just put the spring on. Put the dust boot on. Make sure that's all nice and lined up. Finally, you wanna put the bump stop that KW provides. Make sure writing is up the right way. Strut assembly onto the car and do everything in reverse. Make sure this wire goes in front of the strut because that's how it was. This little bump, it can only go in one way. Just line it up, push it in all the way. Doesn't seem like it goes any more than that. And then now what we want to do is put this back on. And if I remember correctly, this came from the driver's door to the front, and this is the spring strut to the swivel bearing, and this is going to be torqued to 56 Newton meters. So let's go ahead and do that now. There we go. I think that was it. Yeah. All right, 56 Newton meters. We're gonna go ahead and basically throw this back into the wheel well, and we're gonna jack it up just a little bit so that this is supported by the edge of the turret. I'm gonna slide this back in here. So next we have the brand new strut nut that we got from the dealership. Okay, so this top strut nut's gonna be 71 Newton meters. Obviously follow everything to spec as much as possible to ensure you have no problems. Oh, pretty much maximum actually. You can't even go more than what's recommended. Okay, and then finally guys, so for the anti-roll bar link, obviously you want to put this 5/8 ratchet on the actual nuts. You're gonna put this T30 inside just like this, and you're gonna twist it on. Like I said, it's 56 Newton meters. It's already off.
I like it.
All that's left is just putting the cables back in their original spots, and then put the wheel on and we're done.
Easy. Okay, only uses the impact now.
Only the impact, yep. Shout out to Skill for that. I'm a changed man. All right, guys, it is the next day. We're gonna be working on the rears now. Obviously, the car's a little jacked up, so this isn't super accurate of what it's gonna look like, but that's kind of the gap that we have right now. We also did the rear the same way. So this is done, as you can see, not much of a gap whatsoever. My fingers get stuck if I try putting 2 fingers in there. So we got to go ahead and do the other side now on camera. First things first, let's jack up this car and get this jack stand underneath. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take off this entire liner because there's an EDC plug all the way up here. I believe we're gonna need 10 millimeters all around, so let's go ahead and grab that socket. You should probably not use an impact to take these off, but you know what? I'm sick and tired of this dumb liner. It was giving me so many issues on the other side. I wanna take this out nice and quick, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so the liner is out. And now we have much greater access to basically everything in here. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and pull these 2 cables on that my fingers are currently on. You guys can see that. There's one, as you can see, it's now loose. And then finally, as you guys can see, this is the EDC cable right here. I think on the back, you might want to squeeze and pull down. Let me just figure this out. Just push that in and then pull down, and it should come off just like that. So as you guys can see, I also disconnected the cable from the exhaust valve controller. Now the reason why we're taking off that whole assembly is because that bolt is gonna back up all the way and it's going to get in the way and hit that valve controller. So that has to come off. And additionally, you're also gonna have to take off 2 exhaust hangers so that the exhaust hangs a little bit lower and there's flexibility in the way that it moves. Let me go ahead and show you guys the exhaust hangers that you're going to be removing. These are the exhaust pipes, as you can tell, just to show you where I'm at. There's one bolt in there that you have to take off that I already of course took off. There's another one right there that you want to go ahead and take off. Obviously the hangers up there are going to be holding it in place, so don't worry about this falling. So let's go ahead and now actually take out all 3 of these bolts and nuts and pull off the valve controller for the exhaust. Okay, so I just went ahead and confirmed it is a 10 millimeter. Super simple, just take all 3 of these out. Okay, we got it. Here is the actual controller, valve controller for the exhaust. We're gonna go ahead and put that off to the side. Okay, next up, we're gonna have to disconnect the headlight level sensor. So we're gonna have to take that off. I believe it's a 10 millimeter nut and an 8 millimeter nut that we have to take off. Don't be like us, obviously. Remember to take off the front and the rear on the driver's side. That's actually not on there very tight, so this will come off quite easily. This is the part that we obviously forgot to do on the front driver's side, and we cracked the plastic. Not a problem though, we're just gonna end up buying a new part. So what I did was I just quickly grabbed a mallet because it kind of got stuck in the threads, and I just very gently tapped the bolt, and yeah, it's chilling in a nice spot right now where it's not gonna bother anybody. Everything is clear now to work on the suspension, and the first nut we're gonna take off is the 18 millimeter. This one right here, if you guys can see what I'm pointing to with the blue line on it, that's your camber bolt. I would not touch that, leave that for the alignment shops. So we're gonna need an 18 millimeter to get this guy out. My weapons of choice are an 18 millimeter, where is it? There it is, 18 millimeter S wrench, and then we also have ourselves an 18 millimeter ratchet. Oh, there we go. I think we got it. Yeah. Oh, that was a workout, guys. Again, this is the 18 millimeter, so as you can see, that's the bolt out, and I think this yep, this bolt just flies on through without any resistance. Okay, next up we have an even more difficult battle, and that is with the actual bolt holding the entire control arm. Let me show you from the bottom side. So as you can see, we got a wrench on one side and we have the ratchet on the other. So on this right side here, I'm actually gonna be pushing with my foot. Hopefully that kind of gets the job done. And then on this left side, I'm gonna grab it with my hand and pull towards me. Oh my God, dude. This is so tight. There we go. Oh man, that is tight. And I don't know how you could possibly get an impact back there. If you take off this exhaust, if you completely drop the exhaust, then you could get an impact back there. But yeah, again, you'd have to have a proper lift to do that. You'd have to take off the whole exhaust, which is extra work. All right, guys, so we are making some decent progress. As you can see, the bolt is backed out a decent amount. Now, before we start taking that bolt all the way out, we don't want to do that right now because obviously we don't have the jack underneath the control arm holding up the spring and applying some pressure to decompress it. So before taking out any of these actual external torques, you want to go ahead and take this clip off. I'm going to go ahead and use this tiny little flathead just to pull this clip down because I cannot do it with my nails and very weak. Oh, there we go. That was actually so much easier. So I just pulled that white clip down and this is just gonna pop out There we go. Next up, we have our external Torx bit. This is an external 12. Go ahead and put that onto your socket. And we're gonna go ahead and loosen and take off all 3 of these external Torx. And there we go. All right, all 3 of them are out. For some reason on this side over here, there's less clearance on this exhaust valve. On the driver's side, you're gonna need to drop this exhaust just a little bit. So that's why we took the two additional hangers on, dropped the exhaust a little bit, supporting it with this tire. And now that gives us the room to back up this bolt, and it should be coming off any second now. Make sure when you're doing this as well, you have pressure on this lower control arm. The jack saved this here because it popped down a little bit. So the bolt is now out. As you can see, it's super, super long. So we have everything out now. Jack's holding this up. What we're gonna do is slowly relieve some of the pressure on the jack. Okay, so we're just gonna continually drop this, and the spring is gonna go ahead and pop out by itself, relieving all the pressure, just like that. With this nipple right here, so make sure that we have this. We are reusing this. And there we go. The strut's free to come out as well. So what we have to do for the strut is just simply remove the bump stop. Now to do that, we're gonna have to go ahead and pop this top off and disconnect the EDC. So here's the KW spring. This is the top adjustable thing. We're gonna go ahead and turn this all the way to the max, and you're gonna put that on the side that is flat. It just goes like this, and that's gonna be seated like so. We're also gonna go ahead and pop on this bottom, twist it until it's all the way at the end. Just like that. The nipple is gonna go through the bottom control arm hole. We have our pry tool. We have this right here. I'm gonna go ahead and try popping this out.
Can't just hand pull it out? No?
There we go. We're gonna grab our pass-through socket yet again and the 10mm deep offset. Let's see if we can crack this. There we go. You just wanna go ahead and fully undo it. Okay, and the rest actually just unscrews like this. There we go. We have a new one as well from BMW that we're going to put on, but this is literally brand new anyways. So we have this top piece, we have the bump stop, and we have this as well that we're reusing. So go ahead and that pops off pretty easily. And then this part's actually quite tough. There we go. Then this one you got to force on as well. There we go. All right, that pops in. Now, oddly enough, this does not sit in here nicely at all. I don't know like if that's supposed to be like that, but that's what came with the KW kit. So I am not going to complain, and we're good to go. So slip this on. And then the good thing about this is that it kind of just spins freely. So all you have to do is tighten it down to the correct torque measurement, which I'll grab on my phone in a second. Oh yeah. There we go. Nice. All right guys, so we just did that to 71 Newton meters, or at least that's what it's supposed to be. We can't do exactly 71 on this. So we did about 72.6. And we're just gonna go ahead and put it back that way. The spring's ready as well, so, oh, totally forgot about this.
Might be useful.
Kind of important, yeah. So all we're gonna do is basically just line up these 2 holes into these 2 prongs. Make sure not to bend them or anything like that. You can see the indentation for which side it's supposed to come off. Put it back on, and then we're gonna throw it back in. We're gonna throw the strut in first, bolt up a couple of the external Torxes, not all the way to spec. Then we're gonna throw in the EDC cable. So let's go ahead and do that. So while we're here, obviously let's put in the EDC cable back in. So make sure the white part is facing that way towards the back of the car. You just wanna throw it in, and you're probably gonna hear a click. There it is. And then pop the white thing up. That's like a double click that it has, and that's fully in. Remember that there is a nipple here, guys, right? The spring has a nipple, and that's going to go into the hole. There, hold it.
Yeah.
Keep holding it. I'm just gonna jack slightly, so don't worry. Is it through? Can you see from the bottom, the hole?
Yeah.
Okay. Checking. The first bolt, the 18mm, we're just gonna go that way towards the back of the car. The net's gonna go on towards the front of the car.
You probably have to come a little bit more this way.
Hold on, hold on. So to guide it with your hands, the control arm. Yeah, like pull it. Yeah, there you go. So I'm jacking it. Yeah, give it a push. Just be careful with your fingers. It's coming up, right?
Yeah.
Almost. Okay, that's good for now. These external Torx 12s are torqued down to 31s. There we go. All right, that's 31 Newton meters for all three of them. EDC's plugged in, that's all good. So next up, all we're gonna do is get that final 21 millimeter bolt through, like I mentioned earlier. All right, guys, so we just finished putting that bolt all the way through. We do have to torque that one down, as well as the one that's closer to the strut underneath it. Both of these bolts are torqued to 100 Newton meters plus 90 degrees of extra angle. One more thing, guys, the actual bolts need to be torqued while there's load on the suspension. So we jacked up the suspension to where basically the tire would be in the middle of the wheel well. We measured it on both sides. So we are basically good now to bolt this down. Alrighty, guys, so everything is basically done. The bolt we tightened to 100 Newton meters plus 90 degrees, and that was for the 21 and the 18 mil that's closer up right underneath this KW spring. It looks absolutely beautiful in here. Obviously, we got the new bump stop as well. Tighten these Torx, external Torx bits to spec, put in the EDC cable. We connected all these cables, put this EDC cable in as well, and just tightened up everything to the correct spec. And then we even got the leveling sensor for the headlights back on as well. And then last but not least, we also went ahead and connected the hangers for the exhaust. So everything's pretty much back to OEM specification now. Liner is back in. We're just gonna go ahead and torque all of these down. And of course, Skill's making it look like an absolute joke. Okay, everything in the liner is good. Everything's torqued up. We even got our beautiful mud flap or mud guard from Tommy El Garage back on.
Okay. Looks pretty slammed. Looks very low. Damn. Front's a little bit higher, but that's normal, right?
Front's a little higher, but yeah, I mean, this car started out like really high to begin with, so this is good.
This one is the one we just did.
Yeah, so it'll settle a little more as well.
Yeah,
but
this
is so much better than stock.
Oh yeah.
Stock, like, this thing was ridiculously high. Alrighty, guys, so that is the final look of it. Honestly, absolutely badass. You know, some people might say it's still too high of a gap in the front, and like I kind of see what they're saying with that. You know, it's not perfect in the front, but at the same time, I mean, that's already pretty damn low, so we might be scraping on a couple things. It's also compliant, right? So if I ever go to the track, if I ever really want to hoon with this thing, I'm not gonna have any issues of, you know, any rubbing up here or scraping. So I think overall it's the perfect height. The back's a lot more aggressive. As you guys can see, the tread's almost hidden completely. It's nice and full in the wheel well. All right, guys, but that is gonna do it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, learned something if you're doing this on your own car. Would I recommend doing this? If you have another pair of hands that can help you out, then absolutely yes. The hardest part is when you're dealing with the front, hammering off that spring perch, the OEM one. That's probably the most difficult aspect of this job. One day we did the front, the other day we did the back. So overall, not too bad. And I think it's absolutely killer look. The wheels look much better on the suspension too. And like I said, the ride quality is much improved as well. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, smash that like button, subscribe for more daily content on the G87. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.